We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
The Dialogue, the community voice of Southern California's young professional network. Relevant discussions about the thoughts, concerns, opportunities, and challenges faced by today's generational leaders. Real talk, real people. This is The Dialogue. The Dialogue with Starlett Quarles on LA Talk Live and streaming live at www.latalklive.com.
And for love's sake, each mistake, oh, you forgave. And soon both of us learn to trust, not run away. There was no time to play. We build it up and build it up and build it up, and now it's solid.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to The Dialogue. Real talk, real people. I'm your host, Starlett Quarles, and we're on live at latalklive.com and also streaming live at 1690 AM. The One, the voice of the voiceless. As always, The Dialogue is the voice of our generation, so thank you so much for joining us here every Wednesday from 5 to 6, where we like to discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. Now, for the past 2 months, this is our second month talking about the dynamics of Black relationships. We have been talking about this since last month. This is a 90-minute 2-month special, so we have an additional 30-minute additional segment to this because we want to hear from you. We have a community conversation on the dynamics of Black relationships, and we want you to give us a call here at 323-473-3100. That is 323-473-3100. We have a special Skype number here at LA Talk Live. We can hold multiple calls, and we get them all the time, but we want you guys to hold on. So please, if you give us a call here to comment on any of the things that we're saying today on tonight's show, please just give us a hold, and I'll get to you as soon as I can. Again, this is a dynamic series on Black relationships. If you missed any of our shows, you can always check out our replays on our website at thedialoguela.com. That is thedialoguela.com. Last week we discussed life after divorce, what I've learned. We've had a candid and open conversation. You got to check it out. We had entrepreneurs Wendy Dean, Shalon Douglas, Kenneth Fleming, and Tony Wayford on last week, talking about life after divorce and how some of them been able to find love again. So make sure you check that out on our website at thedialoguela.com. Now, this month we are focusing on marriage. We talked about divorce last week, and now tonight we're going to start a 2-week series on marriage. How do you make it work? According to the African American Healthy Marriage Initiative, the overall divorce rate of blacks nearly doubles that of whites. And let's not even talk about the single black woman and the whole single mom phenomenon. So today we want to discuss, how do you make this thing work? How do you make marriage work specifically for today's generation of young black single women like myself? So for the next 2 months, the next 2 weeks, we're going to talk about marriage. How do you make it work? I'm so excited about our dynamic panel tonight. Filmmaker and family activist Tim Alexander. He's a regular here. You've seen him here numerous times, even on this series this past month. Fashion and beauty expert Stacey Walker King. Life coach and inspirational speaker Barbara Perkins, who also has a show here on Sundays. And YouTube sensation and talk show host Tommy Sotomayor. Now, ladies, specifically black ladies, if you don't know Tommy, you'll get to know him tonight. So they're all here to discuss the dynamics of black relationships, specifically on marriage. How do we make it work? Again, we want to hear from you, 323-473-3100. You can always post comments or questions on our Facebook, facebook.com/thedialoguela. You can tweet me at StarQuar, or if you are privileged enough to have my cell number, text me your comment or question. We also have now we're on Ustream's app. You can download a Ustream or TuneIn Radio app on your smartphone so you can watch the dialogue on your phone or while you're driving, since we are internet based. But now you can now listen to us on your phone as well as our replay. So there should be a graphic up there for you to download the Ustream or TuneIn Radio apps on your smartphones. Now, before we go to commercial break, I want to make a quick announcement here about an event that we're doing here in Los Angeles. LA has not forgotten, and we're still seeking national justice on behalf of Trayvon Martin. We're having strategic meetings and community conversations, and one in particular is tomorrow night called What Do We Tell Our Sons? It is sponsored, I think there is a graphic up, but it is sponsored by Black Women Lawyers Association of Los Angeles and the National Action Network of Los Angeles, which is Reverend Al Sharpton's national nonprofit. Again, What Do We Tell Our Sons? Tomorrow, August 15th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the First AME Church right here in South Los Angeles. For more information, please contact Shannon Humphrey at 310-409-6891. Today's show is brought to you by Urban X Marketing and natural hair care stylist and trichologist Dr. Carrie Williams of Mahogany Hair Revolution. Check out her website at drcarriewilliams.com. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to start our conversation. And hopefully our guys will be here to be able to start talking about marriage. How do we make it work? Right here on The Dialogue with me, Starlett Quarles. We'll be right back.
So much more. So don't forget to tune in Sundays at 2:40, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hello world, how you living? This is D Brex, your host of the all-new rap project here on LA Talk Live. That's latalklive.com. Or you can find me on iTunes Radio in the R&B section. That's the rap project every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's Wednesdays at 7 p.m. West Coast time, so don't be late. On the Rap Project, I will be playing the very best of rap and hip-hop that goes beyond the ordinary. So connect with me, your host, D Brax, the rap connoisseur, on the Rap Project every Wednesday at 7, right here on latalklive.com, where we are more than just talk.
Walk with me.
Welcome back to The Dialogue. Real talk, real people. I am your host, Starlett Quarles, and we're on live at latalklive.com. Today, talking about marriage. How do we make it work? This is a 90-minute special, so again, we want to hear from you. 323-473-3100, 323-473-3100. I'm extremely excited about our panel tonight to be able to talk about this, start this series, this 2-week conversation on marriage. How do we make it work? My gentlemen aren't here, but I will announce who will be here. When they come, we're going to talk about them. But let me introduce the ladies, the married ladies who have showed up on time and ready to talk about.
That's what we do.
Talk about marriage and how do we make it work. I cannot have a show on marriage without hearing from one of my favorite life coaches and inspirational speakers, Miss Barbara Perkins. She's also a trainer, a writer. The name of her current book is Coaching Yourself on Marriage, which is the first in a series titled 7 Little Books on Coaching Yourself. She's also the president of Ayanna Van Zandt Enterprises, as well as the founding president of the International Black Women's Public Policy Institute, of which I am a proud graduate. So please welcome Ms. Barbara Perkins to The Dialogue. Welcome back.
I am so happy to be here.
Thank you, and congratulations on your show here on LA Talk Live.
Thank you.
It's
I'm following you.
It's on Sundays.
When the teacher becomes the student. So thank you.
Tell us, it's on Sundays at what time?
It's on Sundays at 2:40, and it's Sisters at the Well.
Sisters at the Well. So
Yeah.
welcome very much. First time guest to The Dialogue. Very proud to have. Her bio opens up: personal shopper, fashion buyer, lingerie designer, beauty junkie, writer, wife, mom, entrepreneur. We have fashion and beauty expert, Miss Stacy Walker King, who I'm so very pleased to invite. She's also the president of an online mini boutique called I Covet. Please welcome to the dialogue. Welcome,
Thank
Miss
you.
Stacy, to the dialogue. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Excited to
I'm
be
asking you
here.
to move your mic a little bit closer to you. Thank you so
Can
much.
you hear me?
Absolutely.
All right, thank
Now joining us, one of our guys who's been here for this series, Mr. filmmaker and family activist Tim Alexander, best known for his documentary "Diary of a Tired Black Man." Now he's working on part 2 of that documentary series, and he's also a strong advocate of the rebirth of the Black family. As he tweets on his phone, please welcome Mr. Tim Alexander to the dialogue. And I don't know if his mic is on, Steve, because I can't hear him. And then he'll join us shortly. You want to get on Tim?
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to be here. I had to get that last one out because, that was an important one.
That must be about money.
Actually, no. What
and,
was it?
and last but certainly not least, he'll be joining us shortly is YouTube sensation and talk show host and blogger Tommy Sotomayor. The name of his controversial show on YouTube is Your World, My Views, and he's currently on a speaking tour, and we're glad to have him here in Los Angeles. So he's going to stop by later on. So welcome all. Welcome. Thank you for helping me have this conversation. So I'm going to ask you all, just what would you say are the benefits of marriage? What is its purpose?
Well, first of all, I believe that humankind likes the company of other humankind.
Mm-hmm.
So just the spirits connecting. You've heard the terminology soulmate.
Is there such a thing? Last week, they debated whether that even exists.
I heard a
does
little bit of
soulmates
it.
even exist?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it's what you want to believe.
Okay.
And I think because what you set your mind to happens.
Mhm.
So if I believe you're my soulmate, then I'm going to work towards making that my reality.
Okay. Excellent.
So from that perspective, yeah, I believe there's such a thing as a soulmate. But I think the human spirit loves being in the company of another. And so marriage is about, for me, it's about first friendship, partnership,
Mhm.
and intimacy.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
What would you say the benefits are of marriage?
Agree.
Okay.
No, I completely agree. I think it's about having this life partner, having someone to go through it with, to support each other, and that. So I agree. One thing, it is kind of interesting because I have an internal debate about soulmates,
Okay.
and whether or not I think that every person has just one soulmate,
Okay.
and if
that's
that
good.
soulmate is, I'm not supposed to be asking the question.
No, that's fine.
So, but if that
We just
soulmate
having
is a
girls talk.
is that is it always a romantic? So I mean, I can certainly think
Yeah.
of, a girlfriend of mine who was my soulmate as a friend.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So
Okay.
So
I
we
got
can
it.
talk about that.
I like
Tim,
that.
interesting perspective. I mean, both our ladies here are currently married. You and Tommy are divorced. So, what would you say is the benefit of marriage? What is marriage's purpose in your perspective?
Marriage is important because people are meant to work together as this is.
You might want to switch mics. For some reason, that was not
Let's see.
working. Okay.
Hang on one second. I got an answer here when I get
Okay.
a mic. Okay, here
Thank
we go. Marriage is a part of life.
Okay.
And we're meant to work together as a team of two people. And it's utter foolishness to think that we're just some monocular person who's just supposed to walk around and die.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to find someone and cleave to that person and create more people and create the balance that has been in place since the beginning of time. And I don't believe there's just one soulmate per se. It's great when it feels like that,
Okay.
but it's almost impossible to say that 6 billion people you can only get along with one for life.
Okay. So, what would you say are some of the misperceptions about marriage, especially this generation? I mean, what would you say are some of the negative misperceptions, even some of the positive about
Okay.
marriage?
One of the biggest misperceptions about marriage is that it's supposed to make you happy.
Okay.
Being happy is the dumbest reason to get married. Now, marriage is about responsibility. It's about making a commitment to somebody and saying, I'm going to be there until the day I die. I'm going to be there with you, with these kids. It's a responsibility. And within that, you find happiness.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not happy, you just go kind of find a neutral corner and do what you're doing until things kind of work it out. But some people are looking for a euphoric happiness that's just going to overwhelm them. And they're not willing to put the work in to keep building and working toward that happiness.
Okay. What would you like to say are some of the misperceptions about marriage?
One of the ones that I see as one of the biggest perceptions about it is just that this person is supposed to complete me Whereas I feel like that's a lot of responsibility to put on someone to do some work that we all have to do for ourselves. So I think that's one. And the other thing is I meet so many people who don't think that marriage is sexy. And I think marriage is very sexy.
Okay.
Okay. So I believe there are two that were spoken already. One is that when two people come together, you become one. We hear that a lot. I think two people come together, you're two. You're individual folks coming together. So that might be one. The other is about happiness. First, there's the difference between joy and happiness. Joy is the internal piece that you do on your own.
Okay.
And you find that however you find it. Some people find it in the basis of a spiritual experience or other ways. And then there's this thing called happiness. And I think happiness is a quilt of experiences. You know, my children bring me happiness. I love to walk the beach. That brings me happiness. I love holding hands with my partner. That brings me happiness. So there's a number of things that make up why I'm happy. But joy is constant.
Now, you both said the thing about, you being completed or thinking as one, but that's what they teach you. I mean, aren't you supposed to be one? And when you're married, you're supposed to be one and think as one. I mean, is that not true?
Well, there's a story.
Okay.
I mean, we believe in fairy tales too.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of fairy tales. And particularly as girls growing up, I'm not sure about the guys, but I know as girls, when we're playing house and we're learning to be, we're practicing being women, we make up stories.
Okay.
And the story, depending on who's telling it, some of us are really good at making stories. So our grandparents, they have to make this thing sound the way it needs to sound for us to really be interested in the prize at the end.
Okay.
So I think there's a lot of storytelling in that.
Tim.
If I can piggyback on that, you have to first be whole before you enter a marriage. If you have two half-broken people, they're going to be two half-broken things just making a bigger mess. If you have one whole person and a half-broken person, that half-broken person is going to kind of break the whole person.
Okay.
So it's about being whole coming in.
Okay. Welcome, Mr. Sotomayor.
Hi.
I can't hear Tommy.
It's my microphone business, bro.
Oh, I don't know, but welcome.
Over there, testing.
We're working. Well, while we're working
Testing,
on
testing.
there we are.
There we go.
There we are. How you doing?
I am well. How are you guys?
Welcome to the dialogue.
This traffic in LA is horrible.
Won't start none, won't be one. Won't start none, won't be none. Talking about this traffic. You came in at a good time. We're about to start talking about the black family. Let me just ask you specifically, what would you say is the status of the black family, today's black family?
The black family is almost non-existent
Why would you say that?
because the family is a matriarchal family right now. Everyone, as a child, when we grow up and get to a certain point, we start quoting our mothers, our grandmothers, the men. And if you look back on it, most of us grew up in homes where there were a bunch of women. I know I grew up in a home where there was a grandmother. It was like we're Panamanian. It was like 17 of us in like one in a 3-bedroom apartment. We're pretty poor, but it was all women. The men were non-existent.
Okay.
And the family structure is not really a structure. It's like, as a boy, we grow up feeling like we're not really needed because there were no men around. It's like, what did you look forward to? And, a lot of children's existence is, what do they look forward to? You remember in first grade, they would say, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, you said fireman because you saw one somewhere. You said police because you saw one somewhere. Well, most black men had nothing to look up to. And then today it's worse because what do they look up and say, I want to be that when I grow up?
Excellent. All right, Stacey, what would you say is the status of today's black family?
I can't say that I think it's non-existent. I disagree with you on that. I think that unfortunately there's too much father absent families in our community.
Okay.
But I think that in terms of the family unit, it's changed a lot. It does make me sad when I see it. It's very different from, I grew up with, my parents have been married 41 years.
Okay.
And I saw that with just uncles and like I always had a bunch of men around, men and women. It was very balanced. So that makes me a little bit, not even a little bit, that makes me very sad right now that we have so much father absent. But I do think that there is still a unit there. It just has changed a lot.
So now, would you say it is you want to say something?
Yeah, I believe in the black family.
Okay.
And so I'm going to take a different spin on it. One of my mentors, Dorothy Height, who's now deceased, but she would say, she started something called the Black Family Reunion 25 years ago. And she would say then that the black family consists of people with problems, but we're not a problem people.
Okay.
And I still believe that. And I think, yes, the village is ill. We have a lot of problems in the village. And because the village is ill and toxic, then the families are ill and toxic. But I believe in the black family. I advocate for black families. And all we have to do is just work with where the illness and the diseases are.
Okay. Excellent.
I absolutely believe in the black family, but we're losing sight on what the black family is. I saw a woman on Facebook. She had a picture, and it said, "Me and my family." It was a woman and her 12-year-old son and her 10-year-old daughter. I'm like, well, where's the family?
man?
Well, that's her family.
That's a woman and her children.
That's
But
her
that's not-
family.
That is her family.
But
That's
but
her family.
That's the problem. It's so socially acceptable as this is my family, and you're right. Obviously, but a family needs to be the whole unit. That's like a tripod with two legs. It'll fall over,
Okay.
and that's what's happening to our people that are growing up today. They're falling over.
Okay, Tommy, I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, because and I understand what he's saying. It's like you marginalize the man when you just keep saying, well, that's what we have. Anytime you just use the term of, well, it is what it is. We can, as I don't know how many of you guys are religious, but it's like two guys walking into church and they're holding hands. He's like, "This is my wife,"
Mm-hmm.
and you wouldn't look up at the pastor and say, "Well, that is his wife," and just keep going and act like that didn't exist. What you just saw, that does not entail what you would assume was a marriage, a traditional marriage. Well, we don't have what we would assume, and what we know, we're not assuming. We know what a traditional family is.
Okay, so that's a good transition because I was going to say is the lack of clear traditional gender roles today, is that impacting our ability to be able to build families?
Absolutely. I mean, we have.
Do I have to be a domestic goddess?
No, our
No.
world.
Why are you shaking your head? You know what I'm saying?
No. I'm a liberal, so I'm with you guys.
The world
Whatever makes
changes.
your family work.
The world changes.
Mhm.
And so we meet people where they are. And yes, we have too many black men incarcerated. And yes, we have too many black men not in the homes with their children. Absolutely, we should do something about that. But if my home consists of me and my two babies, and that's not my reality, then that is my family. And because I'm not married to a person, a man, doesn't mean I can't have a whole wonderful family. So I want to say there's two pieces to this. Yes, we advocate for marriage. I've been married for 29 years, intend to be married for all of my life. And this is my second marriage. I was married for 7 years prior to this. I absolutely love being in relationship and one that is with a marriage in a traditional setting. That's my choice.
Is your marriage traditional? You home cooking and cleaning and
Uh-oh.
You know,
She said traditional. She said,
Wait.
about traditional for 1 second right here.
What does that
For me,
mean?
I look at this and I am like, let's just be real. There are tasks that need to be done in a household.
Okay.
And I think we would all do better to say who's better at certain tasks.
That's right.
You do that task.
Okay.
So if that task is folding clothes and you happen to be good at it and you happen to have an X and a Y chromosome, then I think you need to be doing that.
Yeah.
But I think we really do. I think even when we phrase the conversation in that way about that we need to have this, and it sort of falls on that it is specific to gender, we have a problem.
Okay. Excellent.
My husband does all the cooking. My husband does all the ironing. He's a 37-year-old macho fireman, 37 years on the fire department. I don't iron. I don't cook.
oh, he been 37 years on the
You take
fire
trash
department.
out?
Okay, I thought
I
you
don't-
said
You take the
trash
37
out?
year office. There
Listen,
you go, girl.
I don't iron. I don't cook. I take the trash to the door. On the other hand, he'll drop a towel anywhere he feels like it. He kicks his shoes off in the living room. I don't have anything to say about that.
Your
And
husband
he
is
doesn't
my
have
daddy.
He doesn't have anything to say. I mean, but what works in our household
Okay.
is what works.
Okay.
Sometimes they let me talk on the show, and that's fine.
And this is one of those times.
Yes, absolutely. Each time, each family can make their own dynamics, but the fact
Right.
that you don't go in with the default set of gender roles does make it more difficult, because now you have to get each relationship on an ad hoc basis. You have to figure each other out, where in the past that was not the case.
That's normal.
Go ahead, Tommy.
He's right. I mean, if you walk into anything, if you have a set standard of what something is, then you can work on the things that don't exist in that standard. But if
Okay.
you come in and no one has an idea of what it is,
Okay.
then
So there needs to be
everything is
some
just,
definition.
Yes.
There needs to be some expectation based on your title as husband or wife.
Right. Like me, I don't I love to cook. I love to clean. I don't cut grass.
Okay.
My daughter's mother changed my oil once. I didn't know what she was doing. She knew how to do that. But the thing is, a relationship consists of what is it that somebody's weak in and what is somebody strong in. And I love what they said, because at the end of the day, you do have this line of, okay, this is probably what the traditional roles are. But I really love cooking.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I hate doing it. So
All right.
we can switch.
So Tim, are there any deal breakers?
Well, we've lost our marriage culture,
Okay.
and people don't understand it in any tradition of value. So it's such a free for all that deal breakers just lie everywhere, because no one has any semblance of what a general set of standards should be. It's just anything you want to call it.
Oh, I have deal breakers.
Okay, give me a
Trust
deal breaker.
Me, in my book on marriage, I talk about the deal
Oh,
breakers.
that was definitely deal breaker.
I have one main one. Well, I have two, but my main one is, if you hit me, there will be no second chance.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The second one is, if you tell me you don't love me and you don't want to be with me, guess where I don't want to be? Where I'm not wanted.
Okay, excellent.
But
Any deal
things
breakers?
like infidelity and all that other stuff,
okay, we're gonna talk about.
we could probably
we
get
can
through
talk-
that.
we can talk about
Probably.
that. Any deal breakers?
I'm trying to think of. I mean, I think yes, those of course are deal breakers. I think
But not for everybody.
But why do some women stay in those situations?
A lot of people stay in those situations. In fact, when we were talking about the woman and her two children, we don't know her reality. We don't know if she was in a abusive relationship. We don't know the circumstances. So for that reason, from the outside, it would be very difficult to judge whether or not that's a healthy family.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Because you don't want people staying
Tommy,
where
in the
they're
same way,
abused.
in the same way that, just in thinking back on that, when this person with her two children, I would rather there be an absent father than a father that is
absolutely
destructive to that unit.
Excellent. So Tommy, let me ask you, because I want to talk about just the concept of just black women and their perception of marriage. What would you say today's black women? What is their goal with getting married?
They don't have that goal of getting married. If you think about something as simple as this song called "Single Ladies,"
Okay. Uh-oh.
the song
Don't
was
get me
given.
start talking about Beyonce.
Think about it. The woman goes home to her man after telling you it's cool to be single. And the women in the club's like, yeah, girl, that's it. It doesn't make sense.
We don't all do our hands like
You know
that.
what I'm saying? but you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense that people can look at something and see it's completely opposite of them, but still identify with it. When Barack Obama's wife got in front of America and said she identifies with single parents because she is a single parent, what would make this woman say this? What would make her make that Freudian slip?
Okay.
Because
Was
they
that
don't
out of context? Did you
no,
take that out of
she had,
context?
Oh, that's
she had to
exactly how
correct
she
it
said it.
later and said, well, you know what I mean? Because, and no, we don't know what I mean, because Laura Bush would have never said, I identify with single parents because I am one. See, we as black people, and I would more or less say the men and the women, we identify with the lowest common denominator. You got rappers like Plies, who's an educated brother, but he will on TV just act like he has no common sense. I remember in college and high school, I used to pretend I wasn't in a chess club. I used to pretend that I wasn't doing drama. All that stuff that everybody else did just to fit in. So we have to identify with the lowest common denominator. As a 30-year-old black woman right now, if you have no children, the other women around you will look at you and ask you what's wrong, not why aren't you
Same
married.
comment.
They'll ask why don't you have children. That's
Okay.
our questions to
Okay,
each other.
excellent. What would you say, black women? He said there is no goal to get married.
Well, black women have a goal to keep up with their peers.
Okay.
And unfortunately, their peers have children, so a lot of them desire to have children because everybody has one. And their goal is to get that man to send them a monthly check.
Okay.
They don't have as much, and I know that sounds really crass, but you hear it so often.
Yeah, we're
because
speaking in
there are
generalities.
some women who clamor and just would love to have that man in that child's life.
Do you think?
And
black
there are some women who work their hardest they can to alienate that man. Just send me the money. I don't want you anywhere around.
Okay. So, do you think black women want to be married?
Absolutely.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Okay. So, what do you think about what these guys are saying?
Well, respectfully, I'm going to say to you that I thought that was a very disrespectful statement. I don't know any black women who makes a decision to have a baby to get a check from a man.
You don't know any.
Not one.
We got
Not
we gotta
one.
Talk.
Wow.
We got to
It,
talk.
so I would ask the
Ask
question,
Neo's,
where are you hanging
child
out?
mother.
We got to
Ask-
talk.
I mean,
Let me ask
we-
you
we gotta
that.
talk.
Terrell Owens, ask Shawty Lowe's 12 babies' mothers.
So
I
let
mean,
me finish.
seriously?
Let me finish my statement. I believe even if on the surface you could find your way to that decision, that you clearly may not know that black woman. because beneath all of what you see, and you just said this earlier, this is people trying to keep up with peer pressure, a facade, all of that. People in pain demonstrate that pain.
So what about the gold digger?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
we act
sure-
like this doesn't exist.
All right,
No,
okay,
it
wait.
definitely does exist.
Okay.
However, I just want to say that, Tommy, when you were talking before about how, young black males and how they don't see this father unit and they don't know how this relationship will work, I think black women suffer from that same thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I think that while there are, some women who may want that, and you said that, and I got it. I'm not
Okay.
gonna say they don't exist, but I will say there are a lot that they want to have that. That's their goal, to get married, to have this thing.
So would you say that as black women, we often train women to prepare for the wedding and not the marriage?
I say we spend a lot of time on the wedding, absolutely, as a culture.
Okay.
And that's just not for black women.
Okay.
That's also for black men.
Okay.
I say she hit the nail on the head, but the problem is she was right. But what you have to look up to is a single mother, and this single mother gets praised in our community. Once you become a mother, you get praised by the people around you.
Yes.
You are queen status as a single mother.
All of a
Have you
sudden you're a
noticed
grown
whenever
woman.
you hear somebody refer to a strong black woman, it's never the woman that doesn't have the children. It's the woman that put up with the problems she caused or created herself.
Okay.
I'm considered a strong black woman
I find it
in
very
my
interesting.
community. So it's where I'm hanging out, I guess.
I find it very interesting. I respect your marriage. I mean, I wish I had a marriage that long. But women who have been married for a long time or grew up in a good family situation, they don't know these other women they don't exist.
Okay.
But they're everywhere. They are not hard to find, and now they're the majority. 76% of our children are born out of wedlock now. And if a woman really wanted to get married, the best way to get married is say, you will never have sex with me until you put a ring on my finger and you're my husband. That would actually increase marriages.
Yeah, why is that so difficult?
Okay. Well,
But women will tell you,
But before
they'll
you
tell
have
you
to-
that they don't want to get married, and they'll tell you, I cannot be in a relationship with you without sex.
Remember that question, okay? So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation on marriage. How do you make it work? Right here on The Dialogue. We want to hear from you. Give us a call, 323-473-3100. That is 323-473-3100. We're going to have a quick commercial break, and we want to hear from you when we come back right here on The Dialogue. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Barbara Perkins, inviting you to join us every Sunday afternoon at 2:40 for Sisters at the Well Radio, a conversation with women about women. Join us as we share stories about current events, jazz events, business opportunities, health and wellness, entertainment, and so much more. So don't forget to tune in Sundays at 2:40, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Interested in advertising your business, product, or service here on The Dialogue? Call 323-547-7748. The Dialogue will help you promote your business, increase your traffic, and bring in new clients through innovative and creative marketing packages, including affordable radio ad campaigns for small businesses. Find out more. Call 323-547-7748. That's 323-547-7748. Or go to www.thedialoguela.com. And now, back to The Dialogue. The Dialogue with Starlett Quarles. Real talk, real people.
Welcome back to the dialogue. Real talk, real people. We're having a very spirited conversation here in the studio on marriage. How do you make it work? Tommy, Barbara, what was going on during the commercial break?
Well, I'm a passionate person, but I love it when they speak. I've talked to Royce Reed's coming on my show tomorrow. The basketball wife. I've had almost everybody on the show. TD Jakes. All these people have been on my show. Rush Limbaugh's been on my show.
Okay.
But when they're there, I believe in the dialogue. When you put sarcasm and stuff like that in conversation.
So what was the topic? What were you talking about?
We were just talking about the idea of, are there women who actually have children because they literally want a check from a person? And somebody was saying, well, I don't know anyone like that. And I'm saying, I understand. I myself don't know one gay person personally. Don't know. Now, they could be undercover, but I don't know them openly.
Okay.
But I don't deny their existence when somebody said, man, there's a bunch of gay people. I don't know none. I mean, I don't see how that responds to that person's $38,000. I ain't bought one. I mean, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's weird to me. It's like it kills the conversation at that point.
Well, we are talking about
Women do that a lot, though.
marriage.
I don't know what you're talking about.
How do you make it work here on the dialogue? Give us a call, 323-473-3100. 323-473-3100. So I want to ask a little bit about you guys' marriage and your past marriages. Starting with our ladies. What did you believe about marriage growing up? What were you taught?
Well, if you don't mind, let me say this to the gentleman.
Okay, go ahead.
No disrespect intended. And I thought we were having a spirited dialogue, which means there's no right or wrong. It means that there's, let me finish my statement, if you don't mind.
I'm doing is nodding.
When you have a dialogue, it means there's room for everybody's opinion, and there's no winners. So that's my position. So if I offended you, let me say on camera, I apologize. When I said to you, I don't know anyone who wants a baby for a check, that's my reality. I'm not saying it doesn't exist in the world, but it is my reality. So that's it. Now, as far as my marriage is concerned,
life coaching.
I absolutely love being married.
Okay.
But I also like coaching couples.
Okay.
And I coach towards marriage.
So what were you taught as a child about marriage? What did you see? You said you didn't come from a two-parent household.
What's really interesting is I didn't have an example. You gravitate towards the thing you want most in your life. And I had a household that was my mother and her sister and their father. 2 women, their father, and 7 children.
Okay.
We didn't have daddies in the household. We had our grandfather. And I wanted to know what that was like. I had no idea what marriage was.
Okay.
And so for me growing up, it was about looking at, I have wanted to be a marriage family counselor for 25 years. And it was out of my own pain and out of my own desire to know what father was.
Okay.
So I support marriage in a traditional way with a spiritual setting.
So your parents are like mine. They've been together since high school. So that's all you know.
Forever.
So
and like I said, aunts, uncles, grandparents. I distinctly remember I was in the 6th grade and I forgot something at home and I'd call, my dad brought it, and a person sitting next to me, she was like, your dad still lives with you? Like she was, and that was really my first experience with divorce, even because no one in my family was divorced, even extended family.
So from coming from a 2-parent household, what did you grow up believing the roles of a wife and a husband?
I saw my parents and still see them today in the way that they support each other, have each other's back.
Okay.
That they don't, like, they argue, they have that, but my mother never emasculated my father or attempted none. I never had any of that. But I will say that I came into my own marriage with I feel like a very healthy understanding of like, there's equality, but not all the time.
Okay.
Somebody's getting over and somebody's not.
I don't know you, but her disposition, I don't know if anybody else knows, her disposition is like beautiful.
Right, that's why Stacey
it
on
really
the
is
show.
like you just sit and listen to me like,
Look, saying the same thing. Yeah.
I got some kids, you want to adopt them?
We have a caller. Hi, caller. Thank you so much for holding on. You have a comment or question for our guest? Caller?
Hello?
Hi, you have a comment or question for our guest? Hi.
First off, how are y'all doing this afternoon?
Good.
I actually was just, I honestly don't even know what the show is about. I know it may sound weird. I just literally, I follow Tommy, and I honestly just looked on his Twitter and seen that he was going to be on the show.
Thank you, Tommy, for tweeting. Okay, well, Tommy's talking about married. Did you know Tommy used to be married?
Why you telling my business?
You tell your own business. Thank you, caller. Thank you for your call. So tell me, growing up, I mean, what did you believe? Did you come from a two-parent household?
No,
I mean,
as I said earlier, I just
Okay.
saw a bunch of women, and
Okay.
and she hit the nail on the head. Sometimes we just do things or want things even if we didn't have them,
Okay.
because they feel right to our soul.
So it felt right for you to have a
Yeah.
wife? That's what you.
Yeah, I wanted it because I was the person who walked up to her and said, "You got both your parents?" That was me.
That was you.
Yeah, because
I thought
we
you looked familiar when I got here.
but we used to make fun of the one brother in the neighborhood that had both his parents because he had to be in the
Isn't
house.
that crazy?
Yeah, he had to be in the house. He had structure.
Okay.
We like, you lame. You know,
you have parents.
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
We didn't have no rules. They would literally sit us
Okay.
outside in the summertime, go outside and
Okay.
don't come back to the
So
side.
you wanted it, but it was foreign.
Yes, I
Okay.
wanted it, and I wanted my mother to get married because I watched a lot of TV, and the
Okay.
people on TV were married, but then
Okay.
when I got in the real world, they weren't, and we
Okay.
didn't seem as happy as them, and I wanted their happiness.
Now, Tim, unfortunately, your whole entire family, your parents and everyone has married, but you, unfortunately, you're the first in your family
Yeah.
to be divorced. I mean, what was that like?
You know, it was that was hard. I understood that this relationship was up. You know, the hardest part for me, the hardest part was saying my kid's going to be in a broken home. That just didn't even compute.
Okay.
It's like, how do you even do that?
Okay.
And then the other thing was saying, you know, the shame of like the Alexander Lynch, we don't do that. It was consoling saying, you know, for me to say I didn't want it, I wasn't trying to walk away from it. It was being done to me, and it's like
Okay.
being forced into divorce. I have to now rethink and say, okay, the rest of my life is not with this person. Now I have to go in and start doing what? You know, it was really hard. It was
Okay.
very hard.
Now, one of the things that I want to ask in the last 15 minutes, I want to talk about marriage and sex. But before I do, how do you manage expectations? I mean, you talk about being able to compromise, and we have these certain expectations based on either what our parents taught us or our friends of what a husband and a wife and their roles and responsibilities. How do you manage expectations in a marriage?
I look at it this way: you gotta go into a marriage and know what you want from the other person.
Okay.
I mean, have your, as you said, deal breakers, but I like what she said. She only had 2 deal breakers. She didn't have this laundry list of deal breakers,
Okay.
because that's what Tim was saying. You have these laundry list of deal breakers, and some of them are just made up by that day.
Okay.
Look at it and understand that marriage is not going to be a happy day. Someday I don't want to be my daughter's father because she get on my nerves.
Okay. That's once a month?
You know what I'm saying? No, I don't. I got custody. But,
That's every day.
You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, you have to understand it's not going to always be happy, that
Okay.
there is work involved, and it's not like work like you're digging a ditch.
Okay.
But it's happy work. It's
Okay.
that work where you see at the end of it the result of it.
Now let me ask the ladies, because you know, as women, we think it's gonna be this white horse, this guy, he gonna be cooking and cleaning, whatever, he gonna be massaging our toes. You know, what I mean, how do we manage our expectations of these rose-colored glasses we have about marriage,
And
especially
again,
for us
going
coming
back
from a two-parent household?
Right. Well, I think it's because I came from a two-parent household that I did not have that view of it.
Okay.
I knew it. I can look back on my parents' marriage, which I think that, you know, they have been very happy together, still together. But I can see times where it was like, this is hard. They're going through something. Sometimes what they're going through is us.
Okay.
It's me and my brother. You know, I'm just like, but so I just saw them and how they. It's like what we talked about at the beginning of the show, where it's not that it's 2 people becoming one. It's 2 people working towards one goal.
Excellent.
And that being the biggest and the most important thing always. So that's what's helping you get through. This is hard. This is the time when it's like, wow, it really, like, even now I think of all my single friends were to talk to one and I'm like, just tell me what you did yesterday, because you just did what you wanted to do all day long.
Okay.
And that just seems
and
so
you made
right.
you made an interesting point. You said one goal, and I remember Tommy when you and I were talking, you were just like, you know, we were saying that sometimes, you know, the black community don't think about marriage from an intergenerational standpoint. You know, we're very short-sighted.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So, so Barbara said, elaborate just on marriage being an intergenerational thing that we don't even think about. The goal of marriage is to passing down not only just your last name, but just your philosophies, your traditions, just your family legacy.
My grandparents were married for 35 years, but they didn't live together. My grandmother lived in New York, and my grandfather lived in Florida with us. And that was a unique situation that they designed themselves. Although, and if you think about the times, how much they were criticized for that kind of relationship. So when I got married, and again, this is my second marriage. I was married once for 7 years, and then now for 29 years. But in both those marriages, I was really clear about who I was and who I wanted to be in the relationship.
Okay.
And so the most important thing for me was to know myself and understand this person that I was marrying was my friend, to be my friend. And if this person is my friend, if something happens that I don't like, I give them the benefit of the doubt because that's what I do with my friends. So often in a marriage with your partner, it's so easy to blame and shame and ridicule, and you don't give them as much room as you would give a stranger.
Okay.
In my marriage now, my husband was a fireman, so he was gone a lot. I was a flight attendant. I was gone a lot. We had to have a lot of rules for how we were going to make the relationship work with our children and make sure that they were stable and in a solid relationship, family life. So for me, the friendship and the partnership, I have to say it, and I'm on air, was more important to me than the goosebumps and the love and all of those things that make up the story
Doesn't
about
only last
marriage.
for like 6 months anyway.
If you do it right,
okay.
If you do it right, you will have it in 29 years, but you certainly won't have it every day.
Okay.
Today, let me give you a quick story. Today, before I came here, I said I'm going to the show, and then we were supposed to go to the Hollywood Bowl to see Natalie Cole. Supposed to be date night. He cut his finger. He won't go to the hospital. He kept whining, and I said, I don't want to go on a date with this dude. So I took him to the hospital, left him there. I'll pick him up on the way home, and me and a girlfriend are going to the Hollywood Bowl. But am I still in love? Yeah.
Okay.
Do I mean,
He
but
just-
today wasn't
You
a
think
good
about
day.
what she's
He just
saying,
ain't
what
going to
she's
Natalie
saying
Cole.
is-
But today
think
wasn't
about
a
it,
good
think about-
day.
Think about what she's saying. You were two different people before you met. And
Okay,
sometimes you got to
excellent.
be able to exist without that person being
Okay.
there. And she didn't say, "Oh, I can't go to this." She's like, "No, you know what?
I'm still going to the bowl.
Okay.
She's right."
Okay. So let's talk a little bit in our last few minutes on the show about sex and marriage and just the importance of sex and marriage. I want to start with the guys. Is it realistic for at least women to expect that men can be monogamous for a lifetime?
Go ahead, Tim.
Why you throw the ball?
And then, Tim is a professional cheater, so no,
Yeah.
that's what he do. That's his thing.
I'm gonna come back to you.
You know what? I absolutely am monogamous. You couldn't.
Yeah, have you
make me-
always been monogamous?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
Been. Yeah,
so
I have
you've
been.
you never had.
No, I've
dated more than
always
one-
been. Even when I wasn't married, and just dating, it was always usually this girl, and when I'm finished with that, then I'll move to this girl.
Okay.
But like in my marriage, talk about monogamous. We had, unfortunately, we had sex 5 times in a 3-year marriage because she just didn't want to, and she said, "I know I'm not having sex."
Why
with
your
you.
mouth do that?
Wait. and so she said, I know I'm not having sex with you. I asked her on my birthday, no. On Valentine's Day, no. I'm like, okay, fine.
Is that
whatever.
worth getting divorced over?
Yes.
But I said, if I never have sex again, I'm committed to this marriage. I told God and these children I'm going to be here, and this is where I'm going to be because that's the family tradition.
You're
Now,
a good man.
Now, one other
Charlotte
thing.
Brown.
She actually came up to me. She actually came up to me and said, I know we're not having sex. I felt bad about it. So if you want to have sex with somebody else, you're welcome to.
Okay.
I was insulted. I'm like, you can't
You
tell
should
me
have been
to
more
go-
than insulted, but go ahead.
Oh, gee.
Well,
is that worth getting divorced over?
Yes.
Is it worth cheating over?
Okay. It's hard for me to answer that because let me tell you. Let me be honest. I was faithful in my marriage.
For how
I haven't
long?
My marriage was 5 years. We were together for 7. I haven't been faithful in probably any relationship I've ever been in after that.
Okay, why? Tell the truth and shame the devil.
I need help. No, but
But do you want to be married? Do you want to be in a monogamous situation? Is it impossible for you to be monogamous?
For me, probably.
Yes.
I'm like an open relationship kind of guy. Like it's
You
hard
in
for me
the
to
swinging?
explain.
You in the swinging?
Yeah, but I'm only from one side of the plate, mine. See, the thing is, like, I've gotten lucky though. I'll say this, and I can say this in the open because almost every girl I've dated, I get no problems. You know all the crap I say. You'd assume some of my girls from the past never come out. So I've been told I have a silencer apparently, but I just tell them the truth. I mean, I look at it and I say, hey, I like it with you and probably some other stuff.
Some other stuff.
Some other, like, almost every girl I've dated has been bi or bi-curious.
Okay.
I kind of like trying stuff with people.
Okay.
So I don't know if I would ever be able to just settle down at this point, and I think it's because of being broken. Because I did start off in a way in which I just wanted this solid relationship, and I put
you can't be
everything
healed
into
from that.
I kind of like what I'm
He
doing
doesn't
now.
Clearly.
I enjoy it. Yeah, I don't want to be healed yet. It's like you know how like old
When it
people
falls
get
off, you're going to want to get healed.
No, you know when
That's the
people
way
get
it goes.
saved. You know when old people get saved and they want you to be saved when you're 22, but you was doing all kind of stuff, Miss Jenkins, up
Okay.
until you was 50.
Okay, so when you guys went into your marriage, did you believe that your husband was going to be monogamous? Was that ever even an issue with you?
I believe it.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
absolutely.
Okay.
That was the expectation.
Okay.
However, I talk about the big three, the things that break a marriage. It's either infidelity, sex, or finances.
Mm-hmm.
In some way, shape, or form, it comes to play in a marriage.
Okay.
Infidelity for me is not a deal breaker, although it's not something that I would want.
Okay.
And it certainly causes pain beyond measure in a relationship,
Okay.
and a breach of trust. And once trust is broken, it's very difficult to get it back.
Okay. Now, Tommy, do you want to be married again?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I want a nuclear traditional, just the whole thing, and I think I'd make a great.
Why do you want that?
Because I want to be a part of the solution.
Okay.
I can't tell people all the time about something and then be like Beyonce and go home and not be
Okay.
a single lady. I want to be that guy. I
Okay.
like the idea of being a husband and being expected to do
Okay.
something. Even
So,
things I can't.
but that doesn't, preclude from your natural sexual tendencies. So what does it mean to you that the marriage bed is undefiled? When the Bible says the marriage bed is undefiled.
Oh, that's if that's the rules you're under. We were talking earlier. Whatever your relationship consists of is what your relationship consists of.
You can
The
be
reason I
married
don't
and
have-
swing and
the
not go
reason
to
I
hell.
don't, they're actually the numbers show that swinger relationships end in divorce less than traditional relationships.
Okay. All right. So what does it mean for the marriage bed to be undefiled?
That's what it should be. To me, marriage represents success, and your honor and your walk with God is heightened when you do it the right way.
Okay.
Because our marriages one to another are parallel with our relationship to Christ, because we're Christ's bride. And as you become better at being married, it makes you better and more focused on your relationship with God.
So what if your husband does want to do something that you guys haven't traditionally done, or that he just said, "With marriage bed's undefiled, baby, we can try this." What does that mean to you?
Okay, are you talking about another person?
Or period?
Whatever it is,
Anything.
you might want to swing off the
Anything.
chandelier.
Yeah.
Listen, I feel like my marriage is between the two of us.
Okay.
Girl, good
And
girl.
I'm fine with what's going to happen in our marriage. It's the two of us.
Good
Excellent.
And that when you start bringing in someone else, no,
Okay.
that is when it has been defiled.
So is infidelity a deal breaker for you? Or can it be? Can you come back from infidelity?
I believe that. I mean, I hope I never have to test this.
Okay.
What I'm about to say, but I do believe that that's something you can come back from.
I was about to
Okay.
say,
Because I
we
feel
as
like
men gonna
people-
test that theory. Your
Because
husband at home
I feel
like,
I feel like it's someone can make a mistake. I feel like the word I have a problem with is when it's it's an Anthony
Perpetual.
Weiner.
It's a
going on
serial.
and on.
He's a
But
serial.
But why? So
step
why?
line
So let me
stepper.
ask you, why do men cheat? Why do men? Why?
Because-
Especially if she's giving it to you every day, all day.
But
She's
you have
keeping
to
it tight, keeping
understand,
it right.
it's in our DNA to want to perpetuate the species. I mean, think about it. Back in the old, wait a minute. You look at, even if you go
Okay.
with your Bible,
I
I mean,
agree. Okay.
all the guys
It
in the Old
is.
Testament,
Right.
I'm not. This is true. I'm not making this up. It is
Okay.
how you ensure the survival. Think about it like this: there are more women on the planet than men. What should we do with the women who can't couple up with a man? Just be honest.
But women are doing it just as much as men.
Okay.
Half the
Yeah.
men.
Let me hear from our
Yeah.
ladies.
No, I'm
Let me
just
hear-
asking. What do you do
let
when
me
the
see
numbers
Barbara.
don't match? What do the
We're
other women do?
mammals. Watch some Animal
Okay.
Planet.
All right.
Yeah, I don't
Barbara.
understand why they're denying
Well,
that.
I would
Barbara.
just say that a woman's sexual appetite is just as big as a man. I know
Well,
I
I-
have. Let me say I have a huge one.
Okay.
And my marriage bed, whatever I choose to do in that between me and my husband, the sky is the limit.
Okay.
Now, if he decides to step outside of the marriage and does whatever and get caught at that, I would hope that I can deal with it and
Okay.
the forgiveness around it. I would hope. I'm not saying I absolutely will. The other way around, if I got caught,
Mm-hmm.
I could tell you right now, he's
He-
a brother from Compton and
he
he will
out.
be out.
He's out.
Yeah.
He's out. He's 5.
So we kind of
that's a
know.
deal breaker,
We
man?
kind of know our parameters, but it's not a deal breaker.
I took my
Okay.
wife back and she cheated.
Okay, why? Why'd you take her back?
Because I understood that humans make mistakes, and why is it that we can say that one mistake is greater than the other one, especially when you guys claim to be Christian,
Were you
but
at
you love
fault?
to pick and
Did
choose.
she say you were at?
I didn't put
What
the
is that?
man in
I'm asking the
that
question.
woman.
I'm just saying. Did she say that you were at fault because you weren't doing something?
Oh no,
or
well
what made
no,
her
I
go
was working
outside
for
the marriage?
IBM. I used to travel all the time.
Oh, okay. So
And
she's
she would
lonely.
claim that, well, it was like her ex-boyfriend. I was getting played pretty big time. I don't mind admitting it. I was getting pretty played.
Well, maybe
But-
that's why now you were taking it out on women.
Well, I'm not taking out on women. I'm doing
Okay.
exactly. You see, when she said, if you defile my marriage, meaning you set up parameters and he stepped outside of it. I set my parameters
Okay.
here.
All right.
You know what it is I'm doing. You know what you're getting. If you get with me and you try to tell me, well, I want you to stop doing that, that's bad.
Okay.
You don't date a stripper and ask her to become a preach.
Can I was gonna say can a man marry a hoe? You know how you say they make a
I think
housewife
most of us
do it?
marry hoes. She was okay. She said she liked to have sex. I'm not saying she's, but whatever she was doing in her current marriage, she was doing it in one before.
Barbara, why you do that?
So I mean, this ain't new. We're not new. I say if your woman might not have had sex with 100 people, but she had sex with me 100 times, and we did it a whole bunch of ways. So I mean, you can say what you want. When you see me at the club, I'm doing this.
You can make a hoe. You can make a hoe housewife.
Oh, it's really hard. It's really hard. I mean, a hoe just has whole roots. She got a whole genesis. She got a whole history. She got.
So let me tell you,
got a whole
ladies. So
mentality.
is it the spouse's obligation to make sure that they stay physically attractive? So that if you don't, I mean, if that's how
Yes.
What's his name?
Yeah, I think both ways. I think
Okay.
both men
I
and
agree.
women should keep yourselves.
I agree.
So if he got a little gut, it's okay for us to have a problem with his gut.
You know what? I mean, it's attractive. It's
Okay.
what is it that's going to keep you interested in me?
Okay.
First of all, what is it that's going to keep me feeling good about me? Because if I feel good about me, that's what you're going to see.
Mm-hmm.
So let me tell you, at 55 years old, almost 56, I think I got it going on.
You do got it going
And
on.
I would hope that any woman who steps to my
You mean look.
husband will have to compete. And I'm going to compete for that every day. So, I mean, I think it's about you. It's about your joy. It's about how you feel about yourself,
Okay.
you know?
You're a beauty expert.
I completely agree.
Okay.
I think, but it's to me, it's larger than that because it's not just about you being physically attractive, but you being
Yes.
your full self.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
it's like that's what I mean. We've all seen it where you see somebody, it's like he's not that cute, but it's something sexy about him.
So if
And
you
it's something about you have to keep yourself. I would take physically out of it. It's
Okay.
like
Those
you have to
ugly
keep
brothers get the
yourself-
best.
Yeah, I'm about to say,
Okay.
well, only women can.
Those
If
ugly
you think about it
brothers
though,
get the best one.
but if you think about it though, only women can do that. I've only been to women marriages where, like at the marriage ceremony, a woman said, "Well, I wasn't interested in him at first, but he just grew on me." You don't hear too many dudes saying, "She wasn't that cute, but she grew on me." No.
so is she obligated to keep herself up in order to keep your attention?
Yes, whatever. I mean, it's funny that women say a man is shallow when she gets fat and he say I want to leave. But then if I was hard working when you met me and I just said I just want to play video games all day,
Okay.
you'll tell your friends and they'll be like, "Girl, I would have left too." So whatever it was I was doing when I got you, I better make sure. I want it to be a slow progress to where you look like a Oompa Loompa. I don't want it to be like overnight.
So if during the course of your marriage, if you become sexually unattracted to your mate, are you obligated to stay in the marriage?
You're obligated to say something about it. You're obligated to let them know. And again, I believe in, if you're going to step out of what you said you were going to do in that marriage, get out of that marriage. Don't put that person through that stuff, because
Okay.
that person may be like Tim. They're trying to make it work. They
Okay.
feel like it's what they're supposed to do, and you're messing with them at that
So what
point.
is for
And you're
better or for
obligated
worse?
to keep the lights off.
So what does for better or for worse mean though?
Well, for better or for worse, to me, it just means it's what she said, like a mistake. There's certain things that happen in the heat of the human condition, and we do things to heal ourselves. And sometimes
Okay.
we make bad decisions, like alcohol. It's something that a person typically does to heal themselves, to get over something.
And one other thing, sometimes it makes the marriage stronger. Sometimes it's a wake-up call for somebody that
Yes,
wasn't
the guy that was
handling
taking-
something.
Mhm.
Okay.
Somebody wasn't
Okay.
handling some responsibility, and they'd be like, "Oh,
Because
I'm
men,
gonna
I
lose
know
this,
I've done
better
it.
do
I've
right."
gotten to the point where I hadn't done what I was supposed to do. I hadn't went downtown as much as I should have been, and then when Dexter show up,
Dexter
you know
St.
what
John.
I'm saying? Look at you.
Okay, before we get to the end of the hour, do we still have a caller? We're going to take this call. Hi, caller. You're on the dialogue. You have a comment or question for our guest? Hello? Okay, well, sorry, caller. So before we go, and I know, Barbara, you have to leave, but hopefully you can stay around a little bit longer. So what would you want women to know about sex and marriage?
It's good.
It's all good.
Good at 55. It's still good, girl.
Good stuff.
You make it sound like crack.
It's good stuff.
Stacey,
How can I follow that? That's the answer.
what is your message for those women who, a lot of men who complain like when they got married, they stopped having as much as they did when they were dating?
I mean, I think that it's on both sides.
Okay.
It's
Keep it
not
spicy.
just one. It's got to keep it spicy.
Okay.
Got to keep
Men,
it
what is your message for men about marriage and sex?
Marriage, I still feel, is the ultimate success in life when it comes to relationships and really building a proper family, and it's necessary for our future. As far as sex goes, that's a rough one. Because I mean, if you marry someone who's like this wonderful woman here, who's still happy and active, then hey, life can be good. But if you get the other one, it's a rough prison to say, I'm not going to violate my marriage vows, but I'm gonna love this person like I said I would.
Those who want an open relationship?
Set up your rules. Whatever it is you want. If it's just you and that person, make your rules. You don't go into it and say, I'm going to find out if she likes to have sex. No, we need to know this beforehand. And in that
She
situation.
did beforehand, but she was pregnant
that's
when we
how
got
she got
married.
you. Hey, man, that's a shotgun wedding. That's why he told you.
You see that bone come out his mouth, skeleton? That bone just fell out his mouth. We didn't know that part.
You said it before.
I said it before. Yep.
said it
Knocked her up,
before.
married her. Yep, sure did.
So you did the right thing.
I did the
the wrong thing, but you coupled it with something
Trying
worse.
to do the right thing.
Yeah, no, it ain't right when you do something where you threw good money out the bag.
All I knew is the sex used to be really good until I married her.
You that dude at the casino talking about if I play $2,000 more, I can get the $2,000 I lost back.
We're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about marriage and money. How do you make this thing work? Right here on the dialogue. We'll be right back.
I listen to talk to everybody. Life experiences are
Hi, this is Susan Levin, owner and founder of Speaker Services, inviting you to join me and co-host Jean Noel Bassiar on Monday evenings, 5 p.m. Pacific, for our new show, Talk Up Your Business, Speak Your Way to More Profits. We'll be talking to you about how to use your expertise to grow your business or service through speaking. Our expert speakers and author guests will share their stories and success secrets with you. Don't forget to tune in to Talk Up Your Business Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is John McClure Jr., a.k.a. Simply John, and I would like to invite you to join us on gospelrhythms.com every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our show, gospelrhythms.com.
All right, we got 25
Talk Live
seconds.
Radio. Join us as we celebrate Christians around the world in all genres of entertainment, as well as highlight interest stories on men and women who are making a difference and impacting their community. So don't forget to tune in to gospelrhythms.com on LA Talk Live. And we're more than just talk. Remember, it's a heaven's party here on earth. So live life, love God.
Welcome back to the dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. We're talking about marriage here all month long. We've been talking about the dynamics of black relationships for the past 2 months, and specifically today, marriage. How do we make this work? Tommy, what does it mean to be rich or poor? What does that mean, especially for this generation? What does it mean to marry somebody from rich or poor? What if she go broke? You gonna keep her?
Typically, as a
Is it cheaper
man,
to keep her?
I look at it like this: like if I was driving down Sepulveda and it was a a woman looked like Halle Berry and she was under one of the bridges with a sign saying, "I don't need someone to live." She was getting in my car. I don't date a woman because of what she possesses. I possess enough.
Okay.
Um, she has to possess the personality part, like she was talking about. That's all I want a woman for.
What if she's open? What if she makes more than you? Are you threatened by that?
No, I mean, I haven't really. The best relationships I have are with people who are in the industry that I'm in because we actually get together based upon what we like
Okay.
about each other because no one needs the other one for something.
Okay.
Like we be trying to outdo each other on our birthdays and stuff like that because nobody is beholden or needs the other person. Whenever you're dealing with someone who is not on the same, the Bible tells you, and I'm not a Bible person, the Bible tells you don't be unequally yoked. You deal with someone that doesn't have what you have, they're going to take what you have, or they're going to be in that position to.
For richer, for poor?
Tell me the whole question again.
Okay, just what does that mean to you?
No, I just think this like I said, it's two. I feel like marriage is two people coming together, one goal. So you are thinking about. I'm not thinking that what you lack. I'm not thinking like, well, he don't have nothing, so I'm done with that. That's, I mean, I don't know. I think it's realistic.
Okay, can a marriage survive with a woman making more and a man not even maybe possibly being employed? I mean, with black male unemployment.
I was about to say most black marriages
you know
are going to be that way
Right.
at this juncture. The black woman makes more money aggregately than the man.
Can it survive for a lifetime?
Well, as I said, finance is one of the big threes.
Okay.
And in my coaching practice, I coach women who are at a pretty high level.
Okay.
Most of them make more money than their husbands, but most of them work really hard at making sure that their relationship is solid.
Okay.
So so it's traditional. It's traditional in the sense that they've had to design it in a way that it works for them. In my household, I really wanted a man who could provide for his family, however that was. It didn't mean that we had to have a huge home, but whatever home we had, that I wanted him to be able to be the head of that household financially.
Okay.
Although I was very prepared to work and take care of myself. I can. What's been good for me is that I didn't have to worry about how the mortgage was going to be paid, how my children were going to eat, how we were going to live.
Okay.
There was always that stability. So I would say to sisters now, yes, look at the value in the potential of the man. So even if he doesn't have a job, but he's willing to have a skill, he knows that he wants to provide for his family. Look at the value in that more so than the value in his bank account.
But you know what I've heard him say, and just kind of in justification of what Tommy was saying before, I've heard women who've been divorced before say, you know what, the second time I'm marrying for money.
Well,
versus love.
My second time I married my husband because he had a solid intention, and that was to be in a union that had a family structure, that he was willing to be the head of the household.
Okay. I think we have a caller. Steve, we still have a caller on? Yep. Hi, caller. You're on the dialogue. You have a comment or question for our guest?
Yeah, I just want to say, I think marriage is a total failure. I mean, I'm 25, and I don't ever want to get married.
Why? You're 25.
Huh?
You're 25. Why? I mean, it's young.
Because most of the females I come in contact with just want to get a baby daddy, put papers on them. That's it. They don't want to get married. They don't want to be in a relationship. They just want to get money.
Is this one of my listeners?
But she doesn't know anybody like that. So
caller, thank you for your honesty and your
Let's
transparency.
introduce her to you, Tommy.
Let me tell you, look, I had something out there, and I said today, marriage is not really something that it is beneficial for men today. If we get married in our community, you look at what happens. They're not good to that. Look at in our community today, the women make more money than you. I don't think you can really sustain I think there are people who can, but it's hard to sustain a marriage when that man is feeling emasculated when he comes in the house and she's paying the bills.
Okay.
And the woman, when she gets mad at you, it is going to come up, because we know what we do when we get mad at our kids, our family members. We will typically go there where we shouldn't have went. When you go there with a man, once you emasculate him, he will never be the same. I don't care how long.
Yeah, but how do you bring this guy back?
This is the problem in what you're saying, is that, your ability to pay the bills is not what makes you a man.
And I was going to say that same thing.
Let him make a point.
I'm saying it in the context of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think there are, look, my husband and I, we've been together for 18 years, married for 13, and I will say that there were times where I made more money. Mm-hmm. And there are times where I didn't.
Okay.
And the thing that I have to say in all of that was that he did not feel like I'm not a man.
No, but our culture does conflate manhood with a check.
Yep.
Like the two are interchangeable, and that's why they're the type of women you say don't exist, because they think if they get the check for the baby, then they got a baby daddy, and that the kid is being raised because they have a check. It's real.
Even society tells us, think about what the court says. When you get a divorce or when you have a child with a woman, what does society typically tell a man? You get to see your kids once every other weekend. Well, equate that to what it really is. That's 3.5 to 4 days out of 30, but you still have to send that check. And then if you do those two things, people say, oh, I got a good baby daddy. He's here 4 days a month and he send that check.
Tim, I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, that's true. They've marginalized men into, and the term sperm donor, they just love to use that term. You know,
Who is they?
I don't know.
they are the people that use it. And I hear
yeah.
it all the time. So they
who
are
are
out
they?
there. Even
Them.
if you don't know them, they are out there. But they say sperm donor, and then they want that check, and they're like, I'm all this child needs. I'm the mother and the father. I'm everything.
I did a whole
As
video
long as I get that
series of-
check, I'm all they need.
I did a whole video series of women who were on YouTube, and I just put their stuff up where they were literally blasting. Not only the women were blasting their baby daddy, but the kids had grown up and started blasting their own fathers and saying, "You wasn't there. You didn't send no check. Never said you weren't there. You didn't take me to ballet."
Okay, Barbara.
The same women are the ones who think that they're the mother and the father because
Okay.
they
Them,
raised
that
it
group of
because they
them.
pay.
Yes.
Okay,
because
Barbara.
they pay.
Barbara.
So
I'm gonna
before
introduce you to some.
before the show is over, I just want to go on record saying that I know that the village is sick,
Okay.
and we need healing on both sides, both men and women.
Mhm.
I'm not going to sit here and say that there aren't women out here who are so distorted and so hurt by whatever their problems are that they don't represent themselves in the ways that you describe.
Okay.
On the flip side of that, there are some brothers who we could sit here and tear down, but we're not going to do that. What I'm going to do
Why
is
not?
say
I'm kidding.
that I believe in the union of marriage. I believe that there are a lot of people out here, both men and women, who really who are looking desperately for the right partner, and that it's possible. I would tell the 25-year-old brother who called here, I would say, find you a man who has either been married, who is the type of man that you want to be. Whether it's your father, your barber, your pastor, your neighbor, find him and let him mentor you, because there is a good life in having partnership. And when you get to be my age, you're going to want to sit down on that porch with somebody.
But when you say find him, doesn't that mean that that's a difficult proposition when only 24% of... It's not like you just run out and just marry men.
What it means is, as Black people, we have to start telling the truth about who we really are, not about this stuff that you see on TV. And the truth about who we really are, when you really think about, go see the movie The Butler.
That's philosophical.
That's who
who
we
are
are.
we really? I mean,
That's
are
who
we
we are.
really what we act like? Are we really what we think we feel like we should be?
We are.
What are we really?
I started the show by saying we are people with problems, but we are not a problem people. And I'm never going to buy that or advocate that we are problem people.
Okay, excellent. Steve, do we still have a caller? Yes. Hi, caller. You're on. You have a comment or question for our guest?
Yes, I was in a situation. I basically just want y'all opinions on this. I was in a situation where I was in a 4-year relationship, and 3 years of the relationship, we had an agreement like basically it will be 50-50. And my version of 50-50 doesn't mean that the bill is $100. You pay 50 and I pay 50. My version of that is, as long as I know you giving me your all, I'm okay with it, even if I have to pay 90% of the bill. Okay, but then the last year of the relationship, she regained a relationship with her mother because they were kind of distant, which I respect, and that was needed. But after talking back to her mother, she came to me basically saying, like, okay, my mother said we need to get married, even though I already had plans to propose to her. Believe it or not, I really did. But she came to me saying, like, well, my mother explained to me the male need to be the breadwinner of the relationship. It's like my father, he paid all the bills, et cetera. And it kind of threw me off.
Okay, hello?
I think the line kind of threw him off.
Okay.
I would like to say something to what you said. If women wanted to sit and talk about how no good certain men are who don't handle their responsibility, I think Tom would agree. We would help you.
Oh, sure would.
If you said that there's some no good men who don't take care of their kids, and we would
We'd be the
blast
first
those
ones to
fools
do
into
it,
smithereens. We wouldn't say we don't know them. We wouldn't start trying to make all kind of wiggly excuses. We would say we hate those fools with you, and we would slap them upside the head if we could.
So you're saying black women don't do that?
Because as children,
black women start saying they don't know these
right,
people.
because as children,
but us men, we know them.
As children, boys are told that what you do wrong or right
You're
has repercussions
responsible.
either way.
And you're responsible.
And that's what we learn. So when someone say, y'all black men, I live in Atlanta. Every time I get online, somebody say, oh, the black men in Atlanta are gay. I don't jump up and just start arguing with them. I ain't gay. I don't know. No. I'm like, look, I know there's a reason where this stereotype come from. I don't pretend.
Why are you doing your shoulders like that?
I'm just saying because I'm about to bark. No, I don't pretend that it doesn't exist. And men do. We take responsibilities.
Okay.
A woman right now could post on Facebook, these niggas out here need to take care of their kids. And men would thumbs up that post.
Absolutely. They do it all the time. And the funny thing is, I say that men who are raised in broken families usually don't have all their man in them, and they got some pieces missing when it comes to how they see things. The women get upset, but the men never get upset because they know it's true.
Yep.
Okay.
I have not had a man yet get mad when I say the men who grow up in single mother homes, they ain't all the man they're supposed to be. I haven't had one man get upset.
So we were talking about finances. Let me just kind of bring us back to the topic at hand. So what about the power couple? How do you make that work? And I'm gonna ask you, Stacey, how do you make the power couple work? I mean, you got the Jay-Z, Beyonce, you got the Michelle and the Barack. I mean, as a black woman, how do we take that off when we go home? So how do you make the power couple work?
I think it's it's kind of like the same thing that we've been talking about, but I think it's just two people working on fulfilling themselves.
Okay.
But then together, I do feel like there's an understanding that they have. They understand how to support each other, I think they get that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think even though, I think I struggle to say that there's like this power couple thing. I feel like that's a dynamic that works in all successful marriages and relationships.
Okay. Do you believe the power couple exists?
Yeah.
Can you be in a power couple relationship?
Yeah, I just think that it's a misnomer of what a power couple is. Sometimes a power couple is this guy could make all the money or this woman could make all the money, and the other person does everything that person needs in order to be able to be. That to me is a power couple,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't have to be as big as that person.
That's what I said my parents are.
Exactly. A power couple is a couple that is a force to be reckoned with.
I love it. Okay, I believe we still have a caller.
Good answer.
Hi, caller. You on with the dialogue? You have a comment or question for our guest? Hello? Okay, I don't know what happened. The power couple. Do you consider you and your husband a power couple?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
In
do.
what way?
And it's not money.
Okay.
It's about who we are as examples of individuals. I think he's a really good role model for a brother. I believe I'm a good role model for a woman. And then together as a couple, I think that we demonstrate. I remember the first time we had a fight in front of our children. And my husband was like, oh, the kids are in the car. And I go, and they need to see this reality.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was
You
going
know?
to ask, how do you handle disagreements? Do you know what I mean? Just even in a marriage. I mean, how do you be mad at somebody and still got to sleep with them, wake up with them the next morning when you want to just be, I mean, how do you
Well,
handle?
you don't go to bed mad.
Okay.
I mean, we have a rule.
Okay.
We've never not slept in the same bed because somebody's angry. That's just not going to happen.
Okay.
And we just make a rule. I don't have to agree with you. There's no right or wrong here. My opinion, there's space. Your opinion, there's space. And then the next day, the one good thing about Stanley is that, unlike me in many ways, I've learned from him. He does not hold it. It's done. I tell a joke sometimes that, I married him. One of the reasons is because he did have this little macho Compton side. And I'm a strong personality, and I wanted a man who could have that.
Okay.
Because if you give me too much room, I might just move over you. So I love that. And sometimes he would say,
I gather that already.
I don't have a reason for. Because I'm really solid in who I am.
That was a strong statement.
I'm solid in my faith. I'm solid in my person. I have joy. And so I bring that with me. And so with Stan, I mean, he would say sometimes, I say, well, honey, why can't we do such and such? He says, you know what? I don't have a reason. I just don't want to do that.
But do you see that most women, with the exception obviously of Miss Stacey here, but that's not a lot of our philosophies when it comes to relationship and men. When we weren't trained, with this type of wisdom.
And people need to hear that. That needs to be replayed over and over again. What she said, if I'm not bridled a bit, I will run over you. And I always say, when I let a woman run over me, it was because I let that person run over me. It's hard not to take advantage of someone saying, take advantage of me.
But that's a decision I made because I know myself.
Exactly.
So, and I had a little practice in the first marriage. I was married to someone outside of my culture. And I think there was a little piece of black woman in me that he wasn't sure about. And to a certain extent, I could push harder than I can push in this marriage.
So I want to ask her something.
Excellent.
Do you see how when black women want to lump them all in a group, it's okay when they do it?
What do you
See how she
what
said
do you
I had a
say?
little bit of black woman in me. So it's okay for you to do that. But if I turned around and said something that was another, I'm not
In the
knocking you.
context of how I said it, it wasn't to be disrespectful.
No,
It was
I
to
was saying
make a
you've been
point.
disrespectful. I'm saying, what did you mean by I had a little black woman in me?
Yeah,
What
'cause
did
black
that
women
mean?
aren't
Yeah,
monolithic.
because y'all aren't
Black
monolithic.
women
So
aren't
when you
all
just
the
did
same.
that,
I clearly agree with you, but I was making a point within a context.
And he made a very good point.
Okay.
In
I
your
was
point.
just saying that
When
it-
people generalize,
yeah.
it's generally in a
I
context.
accept that.
Yes, when I'm generalizing, it's in a context.
I
but it's
accept
like,
what you're saying, and I hope you understood the point I was making. The
no,
point I was
did. I was just
making.
trying to point out.
So if
that we
Tommy
should
were to
all be
say
able to
black
speak
women
like that,
have a
if
bad
one
attitude,
can,
I
we all
wouldn't
should
say
be able to
that.
speak
Okay,
like that.
okay.
Is
All
that
right,
not
so
something?
let me ask Tommy
fair?
something specifically, especially about you raising a daughter. How are you preparing your daughter to? How are you grooming her for her husband? What are you teaching her?
I want her to be logical, and I think just like how I just had that conversation. You want to be able, if you're going to be in a household with somebody, to be able to have conversations on emotions, but also be able to have conversations on logic. When I want my daughter to be able to understand, like a certain thing I teach my daughter and her mother teacher, and she's young. You have no business being no man's house if sex is not on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Now you don't have to have sex while you're at it because you're at a man's house. But if you know you're not, then don't go there.
Mm-hmm.
This is called logic. This is called, just like what I was saying. I didn't tell her what she was saying was wrong. I was saying that we should both be allowed to generalize. If one can, we both should be able to. There should be no wrong in it. It should be trying to understand, why did you just generalize? Because if I put a post up on Facebook right now and said, black women are the most beautiful women on the world, not one person would say, not all.
Mm-hmm.
So if you won't say it then don't say it in the other way. That's all I'm
But
saying.
you know
Let's
what's
speak
interesting
logic.
about what you're saying is for those women who are raised in fatherless homes, that's the part we're missing.
Yes,
we
the
can get
logic.
nurtured, we can get the emotional,
They don't have logic. Yeah.
stability, but we don't get the logic side from relationships. And I
Even
see,
some who do have dads
and,
don't have
but
it.
then I can see that you have that balance. Do you know what I mean? Where you're able to, even with you, Barbara.
Well, I have a 26-year-old daughter who I would offer. I think she's very stable and sensible. However, we disagree on how she lives her life on a day to day. Doesn't mean she didn't get all the training she got from her father, she got from me. But we've also given her enough space to be who she is, because that's who she's going to be anyway.
Yeah, you train them
You
right,
know?
but they can go do
And
whatever
so
they
she's
want to
going
do.
to do what she wants to do, but I know what her background is. I know what her foundation is, and she's going to do what she wants to do. And ultimately, whatever that is, I'm going to stand in the place of acceptance. So let me go back to this real quick about black men. Let me tell you what I think about black men. I have 6 brothers, and I love them. I've had 2 that's been in gangs, crazy as hell. Are they good people? At the core, yes. I know who they are. I know where they came from. Do I like what they do? Absolutely not. Do I think they're good fathers? Yes, I do. But there's times when I want to say, put you in a group and just send you to another island.
But can they be
That's
good
a confusing
fathers?
statement.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Can they
she
be
went
good
all
fathers?
over the
It's like
place.
what Tupac said.
Are they a good
no,
person because you
but-
like them, or because they're a good person? Would
Because-
the person they're
because
gangbanging
what-
against say
I
they're a
just
good
wanna
person?
point out a
what
line
I'm
to you,
saying
if
to
you-
you, at the core of who we are as black people, that's what I choose to see. I don't choose to describe you, because just sitting here, if I really wanted to be in judgment, sitting here, there's been many a times like you felt about me, where I thought, wow, this is a statement that it's hard for me to sit through.
What
But
color
I'm
are your
going
glasses
to.
lenses?
But I'm going to. There's 2 or 3 statements that I felt were disrespectful to women.
To you?
To women in general.
Well, I only said
But
that
women
you're
aren't a monolithic
disrespect-
group.
See,
Some
that's what I'm
deserve to
saying.
be disrespected.
See, and that's
because
why
of the
the
way
only
they
time
act.
I had a problem with what
Okay,
you said
so-
was you
so
were
today-
disrespectful to the person.
So
Now
today,
you're saying I'm disrespectful to all
The
women.
whole
as if
group,
the
the
women
whole
are
group.
listening
see,
to me now.
again, this is I don't know what it is, but there's something about the listening part.
But you just
Because-
said I was disrespectful
because
to
I-
women. But not all
Did
women
I say
feel that
that?
way.
Oh,
Yes, you
did-
actually
did I
did
say
just
that?
say that.
Ask her, did I say that? Tell
She
him
said,
what I just said.
felt that you were being disrespectful
That's
to
not
women.
what I said. It's not what I said.
Okay, so what's your point?
I said there were statements made that I thought were disrespectful. I did not say
Same thing.
you, the same way I had to correct him. I didn't say you are disrespectful, but you
You
can.
said I made statements that.
Okay.
So I want to be respectful
This
to
is
the
a technical
host.
conversation,
I want
okay?
to be respectful to the host of the show and say
She's
this has
saying
been a
you are
joy.
not your statement.
This,
The
this is
statement
a-
was disrespectful,
right,
but you aren't.
because
But you aren't, right?
can be.
That's splitting a
You
lot of
can be.
hairs.
So
Okay.
talking about my brothers, who I think are good people at the core, because who I know who they are, but yet they choose to make dumb decisions by joining gangs. That's the difference in the statement.
So we don't
Let me say
function
this.
from
I
our
just want to say a
Where do we
line to you, and
function
I
from
want you
if
to
not
see
our
what you
core?
think of it. I want to say a line to all of you and tell you, ask you, what do you think of this line? Tupac had a song. He said, "Even though you was a crack fiend mama, you always was a black queen mama."
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Even though you was a black,
Even though you was a crack fiend mama, you always was a black
Does it
queen
make
mama.
sense?
Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes
Because
sense.
when we say
Makes no
somebody's a
sense to
good
me.
father, that's just
That's
like
why
you
women
saying,
like Tupac.
Thank you. Because that's
Makes no
like
sense to
somebody
me.
saying
I never
Ted
understood.
Bundy was a good father. No, he wasn't. At the core of what he was doing, you cannot still attribute
So
good
good
father
people
to that.
cannot make mistakes, is what you're saying?
He's a mass murderer.
If a
not
crack
talking
if a
about
crack
anybody else.
fiend
I'm
can be a
asking you a
black
question.
queen mother,
Then
then a father who doesn't pay child support
Thank you.
and
Be a
doesn't
great
visit
father.
his kid can be a great
black
father.
king.
Okay, when he's saying she's a crack fiend, she has an addiction. She has an
An illness, a disease.
Some men are addicted
when
to not
he's
paying
saying-
child
so
support.
when he's talking about the essence of who she is. that,
But
like,
that's what
through
all
this
he was saying.
illness,
There are guys
through
who
this
just can't
addiction-
afford to pay child support. They can't.
But
get
they're
a job.
really
But
nice guys.
So we're saying looking beyond what you see to the human spirit, but maybe that's something you're not ready to hear.
Okay.
Don't give you no
Okay,
slack.
all right,
It doesn't
so
matter if
we're-
you lost
we're-
your job
okay.
if you can't.
So I'm
afford
saying
it.
a
All
man
those
who
low
does
down
not pay
dirty
child
dogs.
support, can he be good in his core?
He just doesn't have a
Yes.
job. He's a
Yes,
great guy.
Oh, okay.
absolutely.
So
yes.
then we shouldn't call them deadbeat dads.
Thank
We should
you.
call them
It's called
child support
unfortunate
challenged.
men.
Yes.
Unfortunate men.
Child
Yeah.
support challenged guys who
And
have
why
an
are we so
addiction
willing
to
really
not
to
paying
good
child
guys?
And
support.
since we talk about
Okay.
judgment,
Okay.
and since we talk about judgment, we don't mind putting that guy in front of a judge and having him arrested. Because even when you look at Chad Johnson, this man just in NFL careers ended, and the woman is now saying
So,
she
so
still
Tommy,
should be
let
paid
me
the
ask
same
you,
amount,
okay,
or he
because
should go to
we're
jail.
coming to the end of the hour, and maybe some of our LA audience don't know and aren't familiar with your YouTube show and your blog. Tell a little bit about your show. I know you talk a lot about black women. You talk bad about black women too.
My audience is 65% black women.
But
If you
tell
read
me,
the stuff,
but I'm just messing with you. But tell me, why did you start your show, and what is your message for black women?
It was simple. I have a daughter. And at some point, I realized I was just a guy that just really didn't care. I was just living life. I was living life through this lens of even if I saw things that were wrong, because my mama was black, because most black men are told, your mama black, so you can't say nothing about what you see. But if you talk about black men, nobody says, your daddy black. They don't. You've never heard that statement.
Okay.
So I just said, I want my daughter to one day grow up and be a good woman and meet her son or meet her son or grand, whatever it is, and they be equipped to make a bigger impact on the world than if I raise my daughter to not know the difference between right and wrong, between good and evil, between tall and short, between whatever it is. Because sometimes in life you got to draw a line in the sand and step on either side. What's wrong with us as black people asking both sides to be able to step their game up? If we believe we came from kings and queens, then what's wrong with asking a woman and a man?
So why
to do better?
so raw and unfiltered?
Because we live in a culture that listens to rap music that says bitches and hoes and everything all day. So that's the language they speak. When I go back to Panama, you know what I speak? Spanish, because that's what they understand. And if you see the impact I've made in such a short amount of time, the buzz I've generated, because I speak their language.
Okay.
If I'm the educated brother and I just speak like this, you know what they'll do? And you stuck up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. How can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter
they
at
miss him?
TJ at TJ Sotomayor. You can find me on YouTube and just put Sotomayor in there. It's like,
Are you
I
on
got
every
like
day? When do you go on?
Spell it. What's the Sotomayor?
Oh yeah, Sotomayor. It looks like Soto Mayor. My show broadcast now since I've been in LA, Thursday and Sunday. You can check me out tomorrow. Just go to SotomayorTV.com. It's gonna be me, Royce Ray, Sanar Lathan. I'm gonna even get Tim to get on that one. I'd like for you guys to call it, because the show is a simple topic.
Okay.
It is, what is a real man? You hear black women say all the time, you ain't no real man. Well, tell me what a real man is.
And you
since
come
a
to
woman.
support my foster youth next week, right?
I'm coming to support your foster youth.
Okay.
There's a whole lot of not real women, boy. We need
How can people find you, Stacey?
They can find me at covetworthy.com.
Okay, and tell a little bit about your website.
I have a personal shopping company.
Okay.
Lifestyle consulting company. So that's where they can find me.
Thank you so much for joining us here. Tim, you got Diary of Black Man 2 coming out?
Diary Retired Black Man
Tired.
2.
Y'all
Now
still
even
tired?
more tired. Oh, we're more
Jesus,
tired. That
wake
daughter
up.
grew up. Mama,
You need to
mama
name
got
it.
a
He's
hold
exhausted.
of
You
her.
need to
Mama
name
got
it
a hold of
exhausted.
Mama had 27 days a month to daddy's 3 to program that daughter in her image and likeness, and boy did she do a thorough job. So daddy's
Lord.
tired.
So this is on some malicious mom.
It's not malicious. It's just a look that we need to have, because we all need to be held accountable. I can't stand a man that doesn't take care of his children. I'm really not very fond of women that disparage the fathers either.
Okay.
So we need to look at both sides. It's Men's Day in Court.
Okay. Barbara, how can
Women's
people
Day.
find you? I know it's Sundays here.
Sundays here at 2:40 at Sisters at the Well. But also you can find me at Coach B online.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much for joining us. My producer, Steve Bird. We're going to continue the series next week when we talk about marriage. How do you make it work? And we have a couple of guests who are in the process of getting married. And they're getting married later in life. So we're going to talk about some of those challenges of now trying to create a union at later in life. Thank you so much for joining us here on The Dialogue. I am Starlett Quarles, signing off as my mama's child and my daddy's baby girl. Until next week.